We're approaching the end of the year, and for many, that means work is winding down and we get to go home and hang out with family and friends for the holidays. It also gives us time to play a bunch of video games. Here's what's coming to PlayStation Plus this month and some recommendations for games to play with your family and friends over the holidays. Before we jump into what's coming to the game and classics catalog this month, a quick reminder that you can still grab December's monthly games. They're available until January 2nd if you're a PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra, or Premium member. First up is Mass Effect Legendary Edition for PlayStation 4, the remaster of the iconic Mass Effect trilogy. As Commander Shepard, assemble your team and defend the galaxy against Reapers, which are conspiring to bring about the extinction of all organic life. Legendary Edition features Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 and over 40 pieces of DLC, from armor and weapons packs to meaty single-player stories like Lair of the Shadow Broker and the beloved Citadel DLC. Next up is Divine Knockout Founders Edition for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which launched straight onto PlayStation Plus earlier this month. Play as one of 10 playable gods, including Mimir and Thor, as you battle to boot enemies out of the arena. The Founders Edition includes bonus content for the game, as well as a character skin in Smite. Your final monthly game for December is Biomutant for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, a post-apocalyptic game where you can mix all manner of combat styles, from martial arts to guns, and add in some mutant abilities to boot. If you're a PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium member, you have access to the game catalog, and there are a number of great games joining this month. It's time to step back into the ring with WWE 2K22. With new controls, the in-ring action has never felt better. And in the 2K Showcase mode, you can relive iconic moments from Rey Mysterio's career. Build your all-star roster in My Faction and become a WWE General Manager in My GM. WWE 2K22 will be available from January 3rd to March 13th. And when you're done wrestling, Hope County is waiting for you in Far Cry 5. As a sheriff's deputy, it's up to you to take on Joseph Seed, leader of the doomsday cult Eden's Gate, and rid Montana of his influence. Team up with a friend in co-op or recruit an in-game pal like Cheeseburger the Bear. If you want to spend more time in Hope County, then you're in luck. Far Cry New Dawn is also joining game catalog. This standalone spin-off is set in Hope County 17 years after a nuclear event wrecked the whole place. It's not exactly the murky post-apocalypse you might expect, as the nuclear fallout has created a luscious super bloom, creating a wacky and colorful environment to explore. But if you fancy going back to the basics somewhat, then give Far Cry Primal a shot. Primal takes you back to the Stone Age, where the beasts that walk the earth can give you just as much trouble as a rival tribe. Craft spears, clubs, and arrows, and tame creatures like saber-toothed tigers to help you face off any threats as you explore. Looking for a fantasy world to get lost in? Then take on the dual role of Gondor Ranger Talion and Elf Wraith Celebrimbor in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and its sequel Shadow of War. Explore the wastes of Mordor and get revenge for the death of your family by tearing through the ranks of orcs using the game's dynamic nemesis system. But if you're sick of being a good guy, try out Evil Genius 2. Become a criminal mastermind and build out your lair with enough nefarious traps and minions to keep the forces of justice at bay. Evil Genius 2 is full of heavy nods to classic spy films, and it's funny to boot. Now it's time for me to get on my Yakuza soapbox. 3 more games are joining the game catalog, meaning there's really no excuse not to give the fantastic franchise a go. Yakuza 6: The Song of Life is the final game with series protagonist Kazuma Kiryu at the helm, so you can now experience his entire saga in one spot. Yakuza Like a Dragon switches things up drastically and is a great game to play if you want to dip your toe into Yakuza without committing to the whole series. You play as Ichiban, a Yakuza grunt sent to prison for a murder he didn't commit, after he's freed and sent back into a world and a Yakuza family that has moved on without him. Yakuza games are usually brawlers, but Like a Dragon switches things on its head and it's turn-based. The melodrama and heart at the core of Yakuza games is still there, so Like a Dragon is a perfect jumping off point. Judgment, a Yakuza spin-off, also joins the catalog. Instead of playing as a member of the Yakuza, you play as Detective Takayuki Yugami, who's working to get to the bottom of a series of murders in Tokyo. I am hopping off my Yakuza soapbox now. Thank me later. Next up is Mortal Shell. As the foundling, you take on the rotten world of Falgrim in sort of a spirit form. Enemies can easily kill you in this form, so it's up to you to find a mortal shell so you can square off against them. The shells allow for a lot of variety in gameplay, and if you're a fan of FromSoft's Souls games, this is worth a try. For more family-friendly offerings, take an underwater adventure with Finn, Jake, and all your Adventure Time pals in Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion, or stop fiendish aliens in Ben 10 Power Trip. If a dinosaur adventure is more your thing, Gigantosaurus the Game is the one for you. Looking to exercise your brain muscles? The Pedestrian is a quirky take on a puzzle platformer where you move road signs around to create a path through the environment. But if you fancy a deep RPG to sink some hours into, check out Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Ultimate Edition. Chase a rogue god across the unexplored land and chart your own adventure in an RPG built on D&D gameplay. Also joining the game catalog this month are Worms WMD and The Escapist 2 from Team 17. Worms WMD remains the experience of classic Worms games, but has a fresh coat of paint and some new mechanics to really up the mayhem. Carefully plot and execute your escape from prison in The Escapist 2, where how you escape is up to you. If you're a PlayStation Plus Premium member, you also have access to the Classics game catalog, full of games from previous PlayStation generations. This month, it's time to put the pedal to the metal as Ridge Racer 2 joins the catalog, or you can hit the tables in Pinball Heroes. And speaking of heroes, when a haunting vision disturbs Abe's retirement, it's up to him to discover the secret of the Soulstorm Brew and save the trapped Mudokons in Oddworld Abe's Exodus. If you missed Ninja Theory's cult classic Heavenly Sword, which stars Andy Serkis, it's also available to stream in the Classics catalog. If you've got some downtime to spend with friends and family this winter, then what better way to bond than to play some video games together? Here's my pick of games from the game catalog that are perfect to play together. Overcooked 2 has the potential to make your friendship stronger or ruin them altogether. You work as chefs preparing a series of meals, but one person can't do everything themselves, so you gotta work together to get those orders out. It's a lot of chaotic fun with simple controls that everyone can handle. In a similar vein, Moving Out is full of mayhem and fun for all of the family. As a furniture arrangement and relocation technician, it's up to you and your pals to help move furniture from one place to another, but no one said you had to be careful about it. NIDHOGG is simple to learn and difficult to master. With minimal inputs and frantic one-on-one action, this fencing game will have everyone playing and watching yelling at the screen in no time. The sequel is also on game catalog too. It might be a little cold to hit the links in this weather, but that doesn't mean that golf is off the table completely. With Everybody's Golf, you and 3 others can face off on a number of colorful and quirky courses. If you fancy something a little more story driven, definitely give Brothers A Tale of Two Sons a go. You can either play alone or with one other person controlling the brothers as they search for a cure for their father's illness. The game tells a beautiful story set against a colorful backdrop inspired by Nordic myths. Be warned though, it can get a little emotional, but at least you can bond over it with whoever you're playing with. What are you going to be playing on PlayStation Plus this month? Let us know and make sure to shout out your hidden gems below. You can find me on Twitter at Devonte Chisholm, and I'll see you next month for your January games.